Hey guys, Tiago here with Classical Technology. I just wanted to go over this build that I call Candyland in the Caselabs SMA8. As you can see, very vibrant colors. That's why I thought the name kind of fit. I'm going to talk about some of the hardware and why I used it in this build. First is a Z390 Formula Asus motherboard with a 9900K. I think that's, right now the best gaming CPU, and that's primarily the use for this particular build. So I wanted something that could give me, consistent high frame rates. I'm also using the Corsair Dominator RGB RAM, which ties in nicely to the Corsair sort of RGB ecosystem. As you can see up top, I'm using the ML120 Pro RGB fans as well as on the bottom. And on the front of the case as well. They give you a really good noise profile, very good static pressure. And while the RGB isn't as rich as maybe the LL120 fans, these tend to perform considerably better. The radiators are all Hardware Labs. The bottom, there's a 560 millimeter SR2, which is a pretty thick radiator. In the front, there's a 360 SR2. And on the top, a 460 GTS. And as you can see, the dual loop is split. The top is for the CPU, and the front and bottom are for the GPU. And generally, with an ambient temperature of 23°C in the room, on the GPUs, they'll be around 41 to 42°C on average, with the fan spinning around 800 RPM. So the goal here is very silent performance and still giving you very low temperatures, allowing the GPU to hit all its boost clocks. The CPU, it doesn't get nearly as hot a lot of times because it's not as stressed as much unless you're doing a specific CPU intensive task. But generally, something like Cinebench will be in the 60s with the fans running low, if you're running a benchmark or something like that, which is actually very good for a 9900K because these generally can run upwards of 80 degrees C or more, depending on the type of cooling setup that you have. Now, to talk a little bit about the GPUs, these are Seahawk MSI EK2080 NVIDIA cards. Very excellent cards. They come overclocked from the factory already with the EK block on them. And while I do have other EK blocks, I just particularly liked using these. I had them in an MSI 3900X X570 Godlike build, and I just thought that I'd like to try NVLink again. I have the Asus bridge on it, just to see how it would perform after a while. I know SLI or NVLink, it's pretty dead. But sometimes for benchmarks or just to mess around a little bit, it's fun. I'll most likely end up taking it apart and leaving one GPU there, probably vertical as I had before, and reattribute the second GPU to another build. Some other miscellaneous items here are some cable mods, custom cables that I got from their website. As you can see, these have the aluminum cable combs, and they feel and look absolutely beautiful. Highly recommended. You can use them between builds if you change in the future. These are for the EVGA power supply. I have a T2 1200 watt EVGA in here. And then if you're curious about the coolant color, let's see, the blue and green. These are actually the new Corsair blue and green colors from their Hydro X line, which I believe are rebranded Mayhems. They look very, very vibrant, very nice. The green has a nice UV, which I have some LED lights, sometimes set to purple, that they really pop. And overall, I'm really pleased with them, and I think these clearer liquids like this have a little bit less issues than something like an opaque fluid, which, while it looks cool, sometimes it can tend to separate and give you other issues. And of course, all of the fans and pumps are controlled by the Aqua Aero 6 by Aqua Computers. They give you really nice control over the D5 pumps and of the fan curves. So that's pretty much it. If you guys have any questions, let me know. This was a very enjoyable build to do, and of course a legendary Caselabs SMA8 case. Especially the Singularity computer reservoirs. I think they're one of the focal points of the build. And if you have any questions, let me know. All right. Thank you, guys.